I think the collaborative village is something that we have to look at when we're talking about the new era of college athletics. The developmental phase is over. It is NIL is in full effect now, and these student athletes are paid employees. So the way that student athletes look at universities where they want to go play is different. The way that coaches build their staffs and build their teams is different now. You have to take different things into considerations, not new things, but things that you didn't take into consideration maybe beforehand. You're taking them and putting them in the front line of communication now. So from a student athlete standpoint, we're looking at when you come in, we're looking at the collaborative village of who's around you and what's your interest, right? So from a player standpoint, right, first thing we're looking at is your support system. Who's supporting you? Who's showing up for you every day? Who's your champion? Who do you have to go through when it pertains to making these tough decisions in your life, when it pertains to college, right? How and what does that look like, right? Also, academically, what's your plan? What do you want to do? What do you want to get out of this thing? Let's not get it twisted at all. Do not fall victim to academic clustering, right? Because there's going to come a time when ball's over with. There's going to come a time when you're not on the fields anymore, and we have to be able to rely on the choices that we made early on to set us up for success later on. So we're looking at the academic plan, right? We're looking at our support plan, right? We're also looking at, hey, am I the right fit at this institution? We got to take that in consideration. You have to know yourself as a player now. You have to know who you are and what you bring to the table. And that necessarily doesn't mean you're not good enough, right? But we're saying that you got to look at rosters now. You got to look at how the business is going. Am I able to get on this roster and produce? Oh man, they got 6 running backs on this roster. I probably don't need to go there. I'm probably going to be struggling to get playing time. I'm not getting the offers that I want. I don't like it. Maybe let me take a step back. Let me go another route and develop for a year or two and then maybe go somewhere else. That is happening. We're having real conversations, right? That is happening. Understand who you are. If you're a right fit at this institution, do you have all the tools you need to be successful? And is the university or organization going to provide you the tools that you need to be successful as well? You're scouting them just as well as they're scouting you. And I think a lot of times the student athlete, we get lost into that and we get caught up in the bells and whistles of things. No, this is a job interview for you as well. What are you take away the bells and whistles? What are you getting out of this to help you become a better person? And what do I mean by take away the bells and whistles? Take away the glitz and glamour. Take away all the things that make it fun, right? And you sit down and look and you can say to yourself, man, you know what? If I go there, this is the network that I'm going to be exposed to. Oh man, I'm going to get a degree from this program. There's such and such at this program. They have great connections in the job force and the workforce with these things. You got to start looking at things like that and take away the bells and whistles, because ultimately this could be the only time you see the money that you've seen in your entire career once this thing is over with. Let's not celebrate. Let's plan and let's organize. And you do that by making sure you have the structure around you with those 3 pillars when it pertains to support, when it pertains to your academic plan. Are you the right fit, right? And are you ready to take on the opportunity from a time management standpoint? Are you ready to be coachable? Because a lot of people say they're ready to play at the next level, but they're not coachable. A lot of people say they want to be great at the next level, but they don't know what it means to be great. They don't know what it means to be elite. It requires sacrifice. So those 4 things that we'll get into later, but those are the 4 things you have to look at from a player standpoint from this collaborative village if you're trying to seek success and maximize your potential on the back end of this thing. And then when you look at it from a coaching standpoint, right? When you look at it from a coaching standpoint and how can my collaborative village help in success? The first thing as a head coach, what I'm looking at right now, Daniel, who are the people that I have in the building? Are the people in my building right now, do they have great communication skills? Are they relationship builders? Are these people passionate about people? One thing I can say that I think we do a great job at is that we have passionate people in the building that are passionate about people, right? So you got to have people in the building that love people. You got to have people in the building that are customer service based, because we are in the customer service based industry now. Let's not get it twisted. NIL has been introduced to this thing, right? So now we're in the customer service based building, right? And the student athletes are our customers. So how are we serving them and the individuals that I have around them is ultimately what's going to shape my culture too. So that's the first thing as a coach. I'm looking at my staff. What type of people do I have in, right? Also, as a coach, I'm looking at how I build my relationships now, right? And more than ever, and this is just me, this is my opinion, right? As I'm seeing this over and I'm doing research, I'm actually working on my PhD where I'm studying NIL triggers and the basis of NIL and how it affects families, right? So you as a parent, you as a coach, now you got to understand that parent more than ever. You got to understand that parent more than ever because that if the more you understand the parent, the more you're going to understand the kid. Because a lot of times what I've seen is that kids are not going to necessarily open up right away. You're going to have that relationship with that parent, at least for that first year, those first 6 months to lean on to make sure and ensure you're getting the best out of that kid until they get fully acclimated into your process and into your procedure, right? And then the last thing from a coach standpoint, what I think is the most important, you must protect your locker room. Your locker room is your culture. Protect your locker room at all costs. What do I mean by that? Anybody going into that locker room, you got to make sure you vet it out and you know what you're injecting in it. You got to know what you're injecting in your locker room. You have to know what you're taking out of your locker room because it just takes one guy to shape it. It takes one guy to ruin it. It takes one guy to make it. It takes one guy to break it, right? So your process and your strategic process, or however you're betting this out, when you get your culture where it's supposed to be, you must protect it. It is sacred. That locker room is so sacred because this is why there's things that go on in the locker room that you as a coach, you won't know until 2-3 months later. That's just how it is, right? How sacred that locker room is, right? Things don't always work their way up to the top. So you got to make sure that you have processes and procedures of you knowing what's going on in your locker room and making sure that you inject the right guys and the right girls and the right student athletes or whoever in your locker room, because that's pivotal, and that'll shape and take away every other pillar in that collaborative village. It'll derail. You can have a collaborative village that has all 6 points, right? But that locker room point be off, and it diminishes everything else.